This is Bill Holtgrieve, manager of the sugar category for international food products. Today I wanted to discuss some thoughts from the Sugar Colloquium from when I was down in Orlando, Florida, February 7th through the 10th. There were a lot of discussions on the lawsuit between growers and the country of Mexico. It's putting a cloud over the sugar industry, and there are two new potential participants actually challenging the latest suspension agreement from two cane refineries, one called Cane and the other the Imperial Sugar Corporation owned by Louis Dreyfus. The points I would like to make are nobody knows where this is going, but what was reviewed was the possible outcomes, and I think people should know about these possible outcomes. One is that, and this was probably the least likely, and that's why I put it out there first, is that we would go back to an open NAFTA agreement that started in 2008. That's considered very unlikely. The reason for this lawsuit is grower groups in this country felt that the Mexican government had been dumping sugar here in the United States and also did some subsidizing in the industry that was also illegal. And so a lawsuit was made. There was an agreement. Then there were some comments, and then there was a new agreement, and that agreement has been challenged. But if everything is thrown out, we would just go back to NAFTA the way it was. That is looked at as unlikely. The next possibility would be that this second suspension agreement that was agreed on would be left in place, that the people challenging it really don't have any merit in challenging it, and they would just leave it alone. And that's what Undersecretary Scusi said at the meeting, that would be their preference. The people that agreed to everything, the growers and the Mexican government, would like it to be left alone. That's the way they would like it. That is probably the second probability. The most likely outcome, which could delay everything, is that they would tweak the suspension agreement. And the way they would tweak the suspension agreement, and the only way that would happen, is if it is found that these challenging parties, Cane and Louis Dreyfus, are allowed to have a say in this settlement. They feel that the way it was settled, there still is some injury to themselves in the industry, and they want it tweaked. How would be tweaked? Well, the suspension agreement has a couple different parts. It has a raw sugar part, has a refined sugar part, and there's talk that they're very unhappy with the spread between the raw and refined price. So that means that they will either reduce the raw price or they will increase the refined price. So those are possibilities. You know, which one's going to happen, I really don't know. The feeling is, I think, is that the refined price would go up, which would not be helpful to users, but it's probably one settlement that everybody could agree to. The other part is that all the sugar, raw sugar coming out of Mexico would be sold to the refineries. My understanding is over the past years that has not been to the case. There have been some bigger users that have bought some what is termed estendar with different levels of polarity, and those people would be cut out from doing that. The refineries want control of that. But there still would be Mexican refined sugar still coming across the border. A key date is March 24th. March 24th is when the International Trade Commission is going to do a ruling whether or not these people that filed the complaint have a right to file the complaint, and that there's they see some injury there, and that there needs to be more renegotiation or not. So March 24th is a big day. If in fact it is found, and apparently the International Trade Administration has said that these people, these two complaining parties, do have a say, but it's up to the International Trade Commission. So if they rule in their favor, that's going to probably delay things potentially to December, put a real wrinkle in the market. We're still short of sugar. You know, if they cut off the Mexicans or duties are fully imposed with Mexico, that's going to really slow the amount of sugar coming across the border. And this time to settle it will probably force the USDA's hand to increasing the TRQ. They'll have to make big decisions, how much sugar to bring in over what period of time. They've been burnt in the past by bringing in too much, so they will probably bring it in smaller pieces, maybe announce a number to get to, but that they have the right to scale it in. And they'll have to make those decisions. We do not have, even with Mexico coming in, there is not enough sugar going to come into the United States to fill demand. The farther we go down the road, the less chance that the Mexican sugar will come across the border, and that poses additional problems. Thank you. And please tune in to our March 26th seminar at noontime, where we'll have some further comments about what's going on in the world of sugar.